Hello, everyone. Welcome back to She Runs Strong, powered by Coach Peri for a brand new year. It's 2026. Can't believe that time has flown by so much. And really happy to be back here. I hope you all enjoyed the festive season. If you do celebrate and you had a safe and happy New Year's Eve and New Year's Day with family and friends. And New Year's often brings along some exciting goal setting and resolutions. And I know that's one of the questions we're going to answer today. We also are answering a question around how to fuel your runs as someone going through menopause or perimenopause. Why recovery feels so much slower, and a couple others, one or two on mental health as well, which is also a very interesting topic. But yes, back to those goals and resolutions. I, as always, have Nikki Friedman here with me. Nikki, how are you? How was your New Year's? What are some
Hey.
of your goals and resolutions for the year, if that's what you do?
Oh, well, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, folks. I had a good festive season. Can't believe it's 2026. This is amazing. I don't tend to set New Year's resolutions as such. I do like goals and challenges, so I do set them always through the year, but not specifically on the 1st of January, unless I had a major goal coming up or something. But for me this year, it's about, I've already signed up for a couple of races in
Nice.
Dubai. So I'm
Lovely.
hoping to get out there and do a half marathon and a marathon. No goal times particularly,
Mm,
just we were planning a trip out there. So I thought, that might be quite nice to see
very
a
cool.
bit of Dubai via a race or two. So that's me. Have you set some New Year's
Yeah,
resolutions?
much like you, I don't really do New Year's resolutions, and goals and things come through the year. Goal races this year. I still need to run a marathon because I didn't obviously run
Yeah,
Valencia, so I need to run a marathon to qualify for Two Oceans. So hopefully doing that beginning of Feb. So that's going to be exciting, and it's a night marathon, which is going to be very, very interesting. So looking forward to that. I think I mentioned that in one of the previous podcasts, and then obviously Two Oceans. It'll be my sixth or seventh, so that's going to be very cool, and
right.
it's going to be my boyfriend's first, so that's fine.
You've
Hopefully, I
roped them in
can
this year, huh?
drag him along the route.
Oh
No,
my
he'll probably
goodness.
drag
Will you
me.
run it together, do you think?
We decided we'll see what our fitness levels are at, and if we are at a similar sort of one, yes. Other than that, if he's faster, he must go. So, but I'll probably end up catching him on those hills because he'll go too fast, I know, and then he'll blow. So Oceans, and then obviously I always like to do a marathon towards the end of the year, and I obviously missed Valencia last year. So we'll then, if I can enter Valencia, maybe it is Valencia, but maybe it's something else. Just a travel overseas marathon would be great as well. Oh, and then there's a chance, this is going to be quite exciting, that friends of mine and I are going to be hiking in the Dolomites in Italy in June. So
That's
looking very forward to that. So we'll see. So a couple of cool things planned for the year. So I hope that 2026 is a good and happy, injury-free, many miles year for all of
fingers
you.
crossed.
Yes.
Yep.
But yes, let's jump into these questions, and one of which is in and around New Year's resolutions. This is from Sue from Manchester in the UK, and Sue says, "I've made a New Year's resolution to take running more seriously. I run 2 to 3 times a week, but only around 5 kilometers each time, and I'd love to run a half marathon. Is this feasible, and when should I aim for?" Nikki, your thoughts on Sue's New Year's resolution?
Okay, so running a half marathon, totally feasible. That is great. I love the fact that you want to aim for that. The fact that you're already running 2 to 3 times a week is great. I love that. And sounds like you've got some consistency already built there. So that is perfect. I wonder if you're doing some strength training as well. We'll come on to that. But 2 to 3 times is perfect. So if we can get that in a solid 3 times per week, and get you running 3 times per week at 5K and elongating one of those runs a bit longer, possibly at the weekend, and just getting that longer, then a half marathon is definitely on the cards for you. It's a question of when you want to do your half marathon. The longer you leave it, the easier it is in some ways to train. You can do it a bit more steadily, the progress. But if you're looking at 3 or 4 months, then you can just you can certainly complete a half marathon. And I think that's what you're looking for at this stage is
Mm.
completing as opposed to time goals. They tend to come a bit later when you have done your first one. So yeah, definitely. Let's get 3 times a week, nailed down. And before Shona pipes in here, see about some strength training. And I think this will be quite vital for you now. If you've had some routine and consistency around the running, you will need to just build that slightly stronger body and just keep yourself kind of injury free. So it's definitely just something you want to look at, is getting in the gym and doing some basic kind of full body strength work. Maybe not even on the weights to start with, maybe just body weighted work would work quite
Mhm.
nicely. We don't have much information. Where did the question come from? It's just, is it right? So we don't know much about her background, but yeah, that's what I'd be looking to do. So creating a routine at the
Mm.
start of the year over the next couple of months, 3 runs a week, 2 at 5K, extending one of them up to about 10K and beyond, and possibly getting some strength training in. So looking at a half marathon about 4 months away, I think would be good there. Yep.
Yep. Very happy with that. I think just build those sorry, so just build those up slowly. So as Nikki's saying, you're going to go from the whole point is going into those 3 runs a week, and you're just going to progress those ever so slightly as you're going through the months building up. And don't just progress in a straight line up, sort of build yourself up and then allow yourself a bit of recovery, build yourself up and a bit of recovery. I mean, that's how we do it on the Coach Perry platform. Yeah. And so if you want to do that where you don't
Yeah,
have to think about it, the Coach Perry platform probably is an excellent option for you, because then you don't have to think
it
about
is.
it. And yeah, this way, just to get some structure into your week, because you are running, and as Nikki says, that's a great place to start. So just to get some structure of this progression now, is really, really, it's going to be so beneficial. But yes, absolutely, yeah, I love the New Year's resolution of it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I definitely think it's feasible. Actually, Caroline Wassman, Nikki, who won Comrades in 2015, so she had been running for maybe 3 or 4, or maybe 4 years or so. She'd run a sub 9 Comrades by that point. And on a New Year's once, she had a little bit of bubbles, and she made the sort of resolution to go, I'm gonna win Comrades, and she ran on and won the race. So yeah, so there we go. We all start with one New Year's resolution that then takes us to some crazy places. So yeah, so who knows? And maybe you'll
Yeah.
just take this on and absolutely love it. So no, I think it's very feasible for you. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how you
Yeah,
go.
no, that sounds a really good
Mm.
target, and find a really cool half marathon somewhere then, and talk some friends into it to go with you.
Yes,
That's
excellent.
always
Ex-
always drag people along with you to do these things
Yep.
too. Okay, question 2, Jennifer from Texas. How should I feel differently before and after my runs as a over 40s woman? So a sort of midlife, I
Mm.
guess. I'm not entirely sure her actual age. I run early and usually just have a milky tea before and a banana after. Okay, so she's saying she doesn't have much time in the morning. She just has a milky tea before and then a banana after. And then heads off to work by the looks of things. Okay, Shona, what do you think?
Yeah, it's one of the questions that I really wish most female runners would ask, because so many female runners I know that they just don't feel enough,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, they're just not feeling at all
It's
or
often the
enough.
missing link, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very, very often, and so interesting, because the symptoms you'll feel when you're not getting enough fuel during your runs are very similar to menopause. So it's
Yeah.
that fatigue or that tiredness and that not recovering. And yeah, so very often it is just down to the fact that you're not fueling your runs. Okay, so I'm like you, Jennifer. I'm like you. I struggle in the mornings. I love my sleep. I'm a sleep addict, so I like sleep until the last minute, and then I have minimal time before my run. But it's really, really important to have something. So we need to have some form of carbohydrate before we go. So you're having your banana after your run. I would actually suggest that you have it before your run. I mean, the bananas are so great because I know they just seem to go down so easily, and
Yeah.
they digest quite nicely as well. And then because you don't necessarily want to wake up long before and have a breakfast, then what I do is I have a 250 ml or a glass of fruit juice, so that I'm having some carbohydrate before I head out. And then if it's a long run, I just make sure I fuel a little bit earlier. But if it's a run that's an hour, that should suffice for 45 minutes to an hour. And just on that fruit juice, try not to make it like an orange juice or something like that, because the high fructose in there can affect the gut. So something like a berry, yeah, blueberry, cherry, something like that is a little bit more helpful. But yeah, so that's what I do as someone who doesn't necessarily like eating before breakfast, before they run, eating before breakfast, eating before they run. um, yeah, Nikki, what do you do?
Yeah.
You have a like a brekkie or something small
Yeah,
before
yeah,
you.
I'm the same. I like my pre-brekkies and breakfast and then post-brekkies. I think if you've got time to make a milky tea, you've probably got time to take a bite of banana or something
Mhm.
quick, like a
While you're
bit
getting
of
dressed even,
half a
yeah.
flapjack and stuff. I mean, it is, if you think about it though, just getting straight out of bed and hitting the streets, it's actually quite hard on your body, where you're sort of lying asleep and then you're suddenly like,
Mm,
no, not full throttle, but out there,
mm,
and just giving your a bit of fuel in your body, and 15 to 20 minutes, half an hour to wake up a little bit is gonna do wonders. So if you can get up that little bit earlier and just take those kind of, quick carbs in the morning,
mm.
so banana, berries, as you've said, your fruit juice,
Fruit juice. I
um,
mean, I have done in the past, like toast, um,
yeah, I quite like
with
toast.
peanut
That
butter,
that's
then I put some banana with that, and I have it overnight oats if I'm really training
Yeah,
well with
I'm not so
long.
good with the oats. I've got one lady who makes a massive bowl of oats, overnight oats, and
Mm.
then she just grabs a few spoonfuls
Ah,
before
okay.
she runs and then comes back and eats the rest of it when she comes back. So that's quite time efficient, and you're only making one bowl. Um, so there's plenty of time there, really. You could just be sitting on the side. So, I mean, it just makes quite a difference, really, and it will make quite a difference for the rest of the day of just having that. If you're susceptible to brain fog, a bit of low energy for the rest of the day, if you fueled that run, then you won't have that dip later on, or that
Mhm.
maybe that kind of brain fog a little bit later on. So,
And also, like I mentioned, like so many of the issues that we're feeling during this time, the fatigue and the like you say, Nikki, but
mm,
we're wanting to look after our muscle mass, and then if you are running and doing your strength work, but you're not fueling enough, you're going to run into the Shona problem, which we discussed last year in that one podcast. So if you're not fueling, but you're doing all the right things, you're going to be working against your body. And I mean, what happened to me, anyways, is that I landed up losing muscle because the body was utilizing that as a fuel source. So yeah, it doesn't help to be doing all the right training, but not giving the fuel it needs, and then you're not winning anyway. So
yeah,
yeah,
and that's
really,
an interesting point. You lost muscle, so we want that protein afterwards as well, don't we? So don't
yes,
forget a bit of protein. So easy carbs before
yeah,
and a bit of carbs and protein after.
yeah, yeah. The ratio is 4-1. You're looking for like 4 carb to 1 protein. So the go-to there for me, anyways, is a chocolate milk, which is a little treat as it is, and it's
I
uh,
can't do that early in the morning, chocolate milk and
oh,
stuff.
no, I can do that any day. They're amazing. But
Yeah.
yeah, but then you want to
Hot
come back
chocolate
and then
might
add
be another
your,
one then.
yeah, and then even your eggs on toast, or something like that. So you're getting a protein, excuse me, and a carb.
Yeah,
So
yeah. There we go. So the takeaway there is definitely to eat around fuel your runs and fuel your runs afterwards. Right. Next question. Nikita from London in the UK. How do I rebuild confidence after a bad year of racing and training? I had colds, setback, poor race results, and I'm drained and frustrated. And I just realized, Shona, you were supposed to ask that question and I've answered it.
no, no, no. Thanks. I
Best
think I
laid
was having a
plans.
little coughing fit there. So thank you.
So,
That's
yeah, yeah. So, okay, we're talking about rebuilding confidence after a bad year. And actually, I can really relate to this. I have not had a great year, 2025. And in fact, a great couple of years, I would say, from having a lot of colds and flus and setbacks and poor race results. So I can totally understand this, and the frustration is huge
Mm,
when this comes, and so you have to be kind to yourself. You have to kind of turn off that internal voice in your head that keeps telling you to work harder or try harder, or even maybe that it's just telling you that you're a failure,
mm,
and everyone else is doing great and you're not. You just have to, running is a really hard sport, and sometimes it's not going to work out for you quite right. But then it will again at another point. It's got the ups and downs. Okay. So if you have been training and you've been unwell and you've been fatigued and stressed, then you have to acknowledge that and you have to take it back a level and you have to really be very honest with where you are now and it's how you are feeling. And one of my pieces of advice would be probably to get a one-to-one coach at this sort of stage, because this will be someone who can really help and be on your side and bring you along and probably stop you from doing too hard a sessions that are going to fatigue you. And you definitely want to be doing a less is more at this particular point. So maybe you've been trying to run 4 or 5 times a week. Well, possibly running 3 times a week is going to be better. Or maybe doing 2 or 3 strength sessions is going to be better. Or maybe just resetting your goals, just thinking, right, what do I actually want to do? What do I actually really love doing? You know, what can I do that's going to make me feel good rather than make me compare to who I was or my friends or stuff.
Mm.
So sort of possibly not shrinking your goals, but just checking that your
Yeah.
goals are correct for where you are now and where you want to get to. Because sometimes we kind of think, and we've seen it quite a lot in the forum, people come back and they're like, I've had pneumonia or cold or whatever. Do you think I can do a marathon in 3 months' time? It's like, well, yes, but are you gonna feel great doing that? And actually, is it gonna take you into a bigger
Yeah.
hole? Whereas actually if you did a nice solid 10K, you might feel really energized and strong. And so people think that 5Ks and 10Ks or trail runs or these are maybe not quite as cool as a marathon or an ultra, but actually running a nice fast 5K
Yeah.
or a 10K is hard,
It's
you
really
know,
hard. Yeah.
but the training required is a bit less and a bit
Yeah.
kinder on yourself. So, and it could be as well, you could just, Nikita, you could just require an off season, 2, 3 weeks off, do not much, and then come back to a bit more of structured training. It's hard to know, which is why sometimes getting a coach and speaking to someone a bit more in depth about it and what's happening and are you fully well and are you
Mm.
ready to go again? Because you're starting back down at quite a low level by the sounds of it. So you need to build that routine and your confidence. And the confidence will come as the routine comes along as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I've definitely had a couple of bad years and it's not good and it's quite hard sometimes to give yourself that positive chit chat. So, how about you, Shona? How do you cope with the years that
Yeah.
don't go
I
quite so
mean,
well? Have you had a few or
I've
not?
definitely had a few. Yeah, and for different circumstances as well. And I think that's the key thing is to be gentle and understand your circumstance and yeah, understand why you perhaps got the result you did. I think the biggest thing for me, anyways, it was, and I know for a lot of other people, is get off Strava. Like that's the first
Yes.
thing. Like get off and stop comparing yourself to other people, to your friends, to your other like runners in your club or other things like that. So sit down and have an honest conversation about you and your year. And okay, fine, if you're sick and you had a few setbacks, but then you can't expect that your running was going to be a certain level. So don't compare yourself to others. That's my first advice. And then Nikki's points around getting a coach to look at this is key, because what I would do if you were my athlete, I would look at what Nikki has said is, are your goals in line with your ability and where you are? Because that's also where we go wrong.
Yep.
And let's say, yes, that's a tick. They are in line. Okay, well then what did we not hit in training? What did we hit too much in training? What were you running at the right pace? Were you getting enough recovery? Are you doing any strength work? So we work through all of those sort of aspects to then go, okay, this is where perhaps we can improve, or this is where we can take off so that we're getting more recovery. And we see it all the
Yeah.
time with people come into the forum and go, I'm so disappointed with my run. I followed the program to a T, and then I go in and have a look and they've run their easy runs 20 seconds faster than suggested. And then, so they haven't followed it to a T necessarily. And so it's very difficult to be subjective with yourself. And that
Yeah.
is where having a coach, and I mean, that's true for me as well. I mean, I've had coaches over the years. I bounce ideas off Nikki, bounce ideas off the rest of the Coach Peri team, because you can't be subjective with yourself. So, yeah, for me, just then put that aside. No training goes wasted. which I
Yeah.
think is a key thing as well. So you will continue to move forward the following year. But yeah, I think that's just a key thing as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. I think getting off Strava is quite good. I tend to just lock mine down to private settings, and I don't
Yes.
have many followers anyway, actually, but I just put mine private, and that just helps because you just don't feel like people are looking at what you're
Yeah.
doing. But actually, you find that most people are very supportive and will always support you, but for some reason in our heads, we tell
Mm.
ourselves a different thing, and we feel like we should be running, um, how we did when we were at peak fitness, you know?
Sure, but yeah, so I love that because that's you looking at your or getting external validation from
Yeah,
people on Strava. I also just I don't really I just take the app off my phone because then I don't want to go in and see how much everyone else is running and racing. So if I
yeah.
see someone else racing and then I'm like, oh, why am I not running that fast? Or why am I, so I think it both works both ways, both as an external criticism and both as your internal criticism. So yeah,
Mm.
yeah. To be fair, I don't actually even know half the time why I'm on Strava. It just frustrates me all the time. So yeah, it's
I
just one
quite
of
like
those.
it. There's quite good banter and stuff like that, but
Ah, that is cool. Yeah, no, that's
yeah, I think
um,
sometimes though, and I have to say I'm quite bad. I do just unfollow people if they do play into my head with that. And
mm,
I just think, well, I don't need to see that really. And for me, Strava is I use it as my training log as opposed to
okay,
a
okay.
social media platform, and I know some people use it as a social media platform, but for me, it was always a log. I used to keep a handwritten book, for many years, and then I moved to Strava, so it is about that for me. But everyone's different in how they use it and just yeah.
Yeah,
So hopefully,
yeah,
Nikita, you can, build back a little bit this year and, regain some confidence there.
definitely. All right,
Alright,
let
okay.
me jump. I'll jump into yours, Nikki. So question
Oh!
number 4. Also, this might even be also one of our ones from our Coach Perry forum. So we are going to keep some of those anonymous, just based on we've actually got 2 of those questions today. So from the Coach Perry forum, how does perimenopause or menopause affect recovery time? I hear you ladies speaking about recovery so often on the podcast. Why do I need more recovery now? If you want to recover from sessions faster, not feel tired all the time, run pain and injury free, and improve your endurance, then be sure to join me in my upcoming training specifically for female runners over the age of 45. In it, I'll share with you my simple 5-step framework that'll transform your running. Simply scan the QR code on screen now or click on the link in the description to save your seats in the training now. We look forward to seeing you there. So what is, Nikki, the reason that as we are going through perimenopause that we need
Yeah. I
more
mean,
recovery?
it is an important question, this, and I think as you get that wee bit older, and you're not really quite so sure of what's happening in your 40s and 50s, but all of a sudden things are a little bit out of whack, and you're not really your hormones are playing a little bit of havoc in your system. And so I mean, when you do a workout, when you go running, that's not when you get fit. It's when you rest and recover. That's when your body rebuilds. If, as a female in peri or menopause and your hormones are low, then you're not able to rebuild and recover in the way that you used to
Mm,
or we'd like to anymore. So having those couple of extra days, running those easy runs really super easy is just going to help with that rest and recovery and rebuild, importantly, of your body to build you up to that stronger, faster athlete that we're all looking to get to.
yeah,
So that's primarily it's just so much more important. And arguably, everybody could do with that over 40 or 50, really, the males as well. But just having those extra days just is really going to help. And it's just so sorry, you look like you're gonna jump in.
no, I was just going to say, I sort of brother program, the Foster Beyond 50 plan. It's exactly the same. We add more recovery into the plans for the
Yeah,
males over 40 or 50 for this exact reason, because it's not just around I mean, there are some hormonal disruptions for the men as well, but not as bad as
no.
severe. extreme as for the females. But it is that the decline in muscle mass over time means that you need a little bit more recovery. So it's not just a female issue; it is also a male thing as well. But for the females, there's just like Nikki was saying, just that added
Yeah.
aspect of that hormonal change, which has a knock-on effect on your recovery processes.
And everything in your 40s and 50s it tends to be quite a stressful time in a woman's life, that particular time. And often your sleep isn't great.
Mm.
So if you're not sleeping well at night either, you're not recovering in the way that you should be. There's a whole host of things that are going on in your body, which is why you just want to give your body that extra chance to rebuild and come back stronger, because that's how you get faster, really, or you complete your distance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yes, a few more easy days, good nutrition, and a bit of extra sleep, and yeah, hopefully you just come back stronger. I mean, the basics still apply. You just need to give yourself a little bit more of a chance to let them apply.
Yeah, I think a thing I quite like with our female athletes or runners in this time is a little bit of flexibility, right? So if you
Yeah,
haven't had a good night's sleep, if you've had night sweats or whatever bothering you or insomnia, just to realize, don't try and push through your training session at the same time.
Mm.
Make sure that you are flexible with your training plan then. So then if you have an interval set for that day, swap that out and go and do an easy run or a cross training session or a rest.
yeah,
So I
cross-training.
think, yeah, so just I think the key thing is to be flexible with that
Yeah.
as well. So
I listened to a really interesting podcast, and I can't remember what it was, but it was a mature athlete, and he said he was retired, but he had moved to a 9-day cycle. So
okay,
basically, he did rest day, easy run, and then maybe a light session, rest day. I thought that's quite interesting because we are stuck to that 7-day cycle often. People think about kind of they want an interval session and a long run, which both count as sessions in my book, and then a bit of easy. There's quite a lot to pack into a week. But
mm,
if we had 9-day weeks or 10-day weeks, we would get that bit extra. But it doesn't work with the flow of life, Monday to Friday and Saturdays, the weekends,
yes.
particularly. But I just thought that was really interesting. A 9-day week would be quite a nice rolling
Yeah, I think especially if you're retired,
program.
that works quite well. If
Yes.
you're retired and you don't need to, go to work or look after kids or fetch and carry children around, I think that is, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? So it's different. Yeah,
but yeah,
cool. All right, okay. Next question. Oh, so this is another anonymous one from the CP forum. Okay. Been training well over the last 6 to 8 weeks, including 2 strength sessions per week. I did a time trial on the weekend and it was the same as the one I did 3 months ago. I'm feeling a little discouraged. The only change is I was diagnosed an SSRI 3 months ago.
yeah. So
Would
she's
this have
diagnosed with an antidepressants. Yeah.
an antidepressant?
Mm.
Right, okay. So the only change is I was diagnosed an antidepressant 3 months ago. Would this have an effect on my running? Okay, interesting. Well, you kept the same. Keeping the same is good for
Yeah,
your
exactly.
trial. Yeah, Shona, what's your thought?
Yeah, I mean, I have personal experience with this. I struggle with depression, and I've had times when I got diagnosed on certain antidepressants, which is also an SSRI. So that's a
Okay.
serotonin something receptor uptake. Or sorry, now I've got that all mixed up. But yeah, so I can't speak from a medical perspective as to how that SSRI, perhaps I know like Nikki and I were having a chat offline around like beta blockers, and I know that's very often diagnosed for anxiety, and those
Mhm.
do have an effect on your heart rates. But the SSRIs, I'm not 100% sure, and so I don't want to speak, chat to your physician about that. But when I was going through the process, and I felt exactly the same. Okay, so when I came out of hospital and I started this dosage of SSRIs. I literally, and then for a couple of months afterwards, I felt like, I was like, this stupid tablet has made my running worse.
All
um,
right.
so I really did struggle. I don't know if that was just I wasn't necessarily as consistent as this person who's asking this question. So she's, what I love about this is that she's been so consistent in the last 6 to 8 weeks, including 2 strength sessions, which in itself is going to be a massive help to
Yep.
her depression or her mental
Just
health.
showing up.
So There's a really good study that came out about a year or 2 years ago that looked at medication versus exercise for people struggling with depression, and medication really, really made exercise really made a massive
Yep.
difference to their depression. Of course, that's not to say that sometimes we do need that help of medication to
Yep.
really sort of get us up and out. But I absolutely love that you are being consistent. So yeah, much like the other question we answered earlier, be gentle with yourself. You're being consistent; those results are going to come. So yeah, just make sure you're doing the principles right. So easy runs easy, all of those things, but you're doing the strength, and those results will come. And as Nikki said, yeah, you're at the same place you were 3 months ago, which means that it's not worse, which is excellent.
Which
Yeah,
is a good
so
thing.
yeah, well done on that.
I think people don't give themselves the gold star for just maintaining a running fitness, because maintaining is hard and you can't always be on the up and stuff. So
Mm,
just maintaining that over clearly not having felt well for the last couple of months is a
mm,
great thing. And
exactly.
hopefully those meds are gonna start to help. And then, I mean, when people feel happier a little bit, I don't know much about this subject, so I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here. That tends to then reflect through life a little bit as well. So if you're feeling a bit low every time you go out for a run, you probably are giving yourself a hard time and not maybe pushing as hard maybe. When you start to feel a little bit more encouraged with life and
Mm,
happier, then possibly that breakthrough will come, there. But I wouldn't be too hard on yourself, honestly. I would, love to have been maintaining my park run time over the last year or so. So, I think it's a good thing, and I should think we should always pat ourselves on the back for maintaining and just turning up.
yeah,
It feels like it's been a very kind of, mental health week with this week and stuff.
yeah,
It's a
good.
bit
Nice
January.
questions, nice different ones for
But
sure.
that's
So,
it. I think running is a bit of a mind game because you have a lot of time when you're running that you're comparing yourself maybe to a previous runner or where you want to be, and just actually being a bit kinder to yourself in your internal chat is a good way to go.
definitely.
Right. Well, that's us for today. That's another Q&A episode in the bag. I love these episodes. I love chatting about all these different issues and problems. If you have any questions that you want us to answer, pop them in the comments below or send them in. We'd love to get some video comments as well to put them on the podcast. That would be great. Otherwise, that's us for the start of 2026.
Yeah,
We'll be back next week. Thank you, Shona, for your time,
thank
and
you.
see you all next week.
See you
Cheers.
next week.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.